Good evening and welcome to the fourth Trend Tour in our CIRCULAZE series Energy. My name is Rachel Johnson. I'm a program manager here at CIRCULAZE, and tonight I have the honor of guiding you through our Trend Tour. So before we start, a little background on CIRCULAZE. The initiative was started in early summer of this year with the goal of educating, creating awareness, and connecting corporates and startups to accelerate the path to a circular economy. And our motto is "Can't do it alone." So that's why CIRCULAZE would not be possible without the support of our partners. And please excuse my American pronunciation on these. DB Cargo, Datif, 4P Capital, Hemesbach, VP Group, Auto BHF, De Facto, Rodel and Partner, Jack Wolfskin, Bayersdorf, Messermünchen, and Food Affairs. And yeah, tonight's topic of energy is a vast and varied one, especially in today's environment. It's, I think, a topic that we have constantly on our minds. Rising gas prices, cold winter. It's something that we are all a little bit stressed out about, but there are ways that we can manage this problem by turning to circular solutions. And that's why we have invited two startups tonight to share some of their solutions in circular energy. You'll hear from two of our CIRCULAZE short and long list 2022 startups. We have here German-based Circunomics and Canadian-based Moment Energy. And before we begin with our presentations, we've invited a fabulous keynote speaker to give you an introduction to the topic of circular energy, Xavier Sarras. Xavier is founding partner at 4P Capital. He's a purpose VC investor and experienced economy expert in the field of sustainability. He is also one of our dear CIRCULAZE jury members. Please give a warm welcome to Xavier.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you very much for the introduction. I think you didn't do such a bad job on the German pronunciation.
Thank you.
Messermünchen was a hard one.
That's the tricky one, yeah. Lots of hard ones. We'll get there.
I guess our company name is easier for you.
A little bit.
It's chosen to be English pronounced. Yeah. Okay, great. So I mean, this is the last of four keynotes, and it seems like this month has been flying past us. We've spoken about waste, we've spoken about plastic, we've spoken about different forms of packaging, and today we're speaking about energy. My name is Xavier, and as Rachel mentioned, I'm the founding partner of 4P Capital. We're an early stage VC fund that invests into, amongst other things, the circular economy, GHG reductions, social well-being, mental health, and sustainability education. We bracket that as investing into resilience, and glad to have also Klaus Schuster, one of the initiators of CIRCULAZE and CURAZE, as one of our limited partners. So it's a pleasure today to speak a little bit about energy. I'm going to share my presentation just now and to serve as an introductory partner and speaker for what's to come later, which is much more important, the startups that are presenting today. I'm going to be a bit broader around the topic of energy, and as Rachel just introduced, it's a very, let's say, pertinent topic since we're all gearing up to wear more sweaters this winter and are trying to save energy where we can, and it is about saving energy and about producing circular solutions. So let me start by giving you a bit of an overview on energy as such. Basically, we are talking about primary energy sources, which are nuclear energy, fossil energy, and renewable energy. Nuclear energy we all clearly know about and know the upsides and downsides of it. Fossil energy is energy won from oil, coal, or natural gas. And indeed, in terms of emissions, it's the most carbon intensive fuel or fossil fuel we can burn. So in terms of coal, indeed is. And then there's renewable energy, which is basically comprising of the decarbonization of the energy sector and the reduction of carbon emissions to limit climate change with regards to the energy sector. And it's really at the heart of our international endeavors, led by the International Renewable Energy Agency. Why should we switch to renewable energy is probably one of the big questions that can be asked. And, you know, the power sector as such is the single largest source of carbon emissions. to power a world with zero emissions technologies and move away from tech that runs on fossil fuel to alternatives that run electricity. And electricity is not a source, but a carrier of energy. As long as electricity is derived from fossil fuels, whatever we electrify will not be emissions free. And electricity doesn't require combustion. It can be created by water pressure, wind, sunlight, and other clean renewable sources. It makes total financial sense as well to switch to renewable energy. 10 trillion can be saved in subsidies for the fossil fuel industry by 2050 if we were to switch to renewable solutions. If we look at distribution of electricity by source, we see that solar is an amount that reaches the Earth's surface in 1 hour. That is more than the planet's total energy requirements for a whole year. So if we could make solar work, that would be a great way to get into a renewable energy field. To reach the Paris climate promise, wind will take up 1/3 of our electricity production. Wind needs to become 35% of the energy production by 2050 to keep in line with the agreement. And for this wind capacity onshore to be done, it needs to threefold by 2030 and ninefold by 2050. Offshore, it needs to tenfold by 2030. When we look at hydro, one reason that hydropower hasn't taken more of the market is that it has a high investment cost. It requires a large amount of fuel and is limited to areas near bodies of water. Hydro is definitely not as scalable as wind and solar because of investments. And in developing countries, oftentimes in the ideal locations, it's hard to really put it in there. In order to keep with 1.5 degrees targets, electricity needs to reach net zero by 2040, and electricity has to be responsible for 50% of global energy production. Investments need to triple to keep pace with these goals. There is really a need for unprecedented growth, and we can see currently an annual growth of 12% from 19 to 21. When we look at biomass energy, for example, it uses waste and residues as well as crops to turn into fuel. That really has circular principles at heart. When we look at green hydrogen, it's great tech, but the green premium needs to be lowered before applied at scale. More and more funding is also coming into the field, and we're seeing traction. So loads of areas to really add innovation and unfold circular principles. On our pathway to net zero, almost 90% of global electricity generation in 2050 will have to come from renewable sources. Solar and wind will generate nearly 70%. All of this needs to be bridged when we look at the gap. And this is just looking at Europe. On a global scale, we even have a longer path ahead. This might seem like a big challenge, but in my role as an investor, I tend to look at the opportunities, and I really would encourage anyone to not be led by fear and anxiety of the future. These are huge chances for humanity to transform and innovate towards a better future. And these crises have always brought the best out in human mankind. So I'm actually quite positive and optimistic about the future. The demand for electricity is going to rise drastically because we're electrifying fossil fuel intense industries. And so electrifying is a key lever to this energy transition. What are the hurdles to overcome when we look at renewables? Some industries like cement, steel, etc., for them, it's hard to abate all of their emissions. So there will be a small reliance on coal for the foreseeable future. These emissions need to be captured and lowered. And less developed countries will need extra time for the energy transition. There is an investment gap. There's a need for 5.7 trillion funding annually, and it needs to redirect 870 billion in funding of fossil fuels towards energy transition. So really a huge financial transformation that needs to happen. We also need policy changes. China now released a 5-year plan that states that by 2025, 33% of their electricity comes from renewables. They've tripled their wind capacity alone in 2020. The US introduced Inflation Reduction Acts in order to really support their transition. The European Commission committed to 45% renewable energy by 2030. And we need to make renewables cheaper than dirty energy sources. Therefore, renewable costs have been trending down for decades and are already cheaper than fossil fuels in many situations. The research really shows that they will become cheaper than fossil fuels across almost all applications in the years to come. And if we accelerate the transition, they will become cheaper faster. Regarding storage, we need an extensive storage throughout high energy periods. Sun is shining throughout the day and then be used through low energy periods. We see breakthrough innovation in that space, and we might even see some today. Flexible storage, so electricity can be used as we need it, is really the key to being able to transition into this circular energy future. To me, it's really unbelievable what times we're in. It's one of the biggest investment opportunities for years or decades to come, and it's one of the biggest transformation areas. There are a few heroes, I would call them out. I always call them out impact heroes at the end of the session. And these are just a few examples. And just before you will hear the two that are really in the circular energy space, let's look at Enapter, for example. Enapter makes hydrogen generators with patented anion exchange membranes technology. And the energy management software that they use really replaces fossil fuel with low-cost hydrogen. They've received a total funding of 105 million to date, and I think they've been going for about 5 to 6 years. Enerchem turns waste into transportation biofuels. Again, a very circular principle. They've received an incredible funding of 871 million to date. LanzaTech, where carbon emissions are fed to trillions of carbon-hungry microbes that then turn pollution into valuable raw material commodities, have received 310 million in funding. Then there's Turn Energy, a new company that is driving Europe's energy independence and transition to net zero with green gas. Half of the CO2 reductions needed to achieve net zero by 2050 come from the technologies that are currently at the demonstration or prototype stage. It goes to show how much innovation needs to be happening this decade and will be happening this decade, excuse me. Achieving net zero emissions by 2050 will require nothing short of the complete transformation of the global energy system. I'm a very happy man looking at these technologies because I'm fascinated by the speed of innovation that's coming down the road and that we're able to look at as an investor. We really have the technology to bring energy's environmental footprint to a minimum. It's really time to invest in impact startups that are in this field. So I'm hugely excited to see 2 more examples together with you. If you do feel like you want to dive deeper into the topic, are interested into investing into the field, feel free to reach out either on email, as you can see here on the screen, or via LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions, and now have fun with the remaining presentations.
Thank you so much, Xavier. That was very informative. And I think we can see now that there's so many opportunities to expand the circular space. And yeah, excited to dive deep into some of these startups we have with us as well. Thank you. And thank you for being a part of our Trend Tour series. I know for Trend Tours was a lot, but we made it through.
It was enjoyable. Thank you very much.
To start again, before our presentations, we want to encourage you, the audience, to ask questions at any time using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. So feel free to ask as many questions as you have, and we'll make sure to get them answered. And of course, if you're interested in doing business with one of the startups, you can get in contact with the presenters after the session or in touch with us at CIRCULAZE, and we'll connect you. And before we bring our first presenter on, a short introduction. So by 2030, there is estimated to be 200 to 300 million electric vehicles on the road. However, this also means an increase in battery demand. To be fully sustainable in this transition, German-based startup Circunomics has a solution to drive green mobility and new energy by optimizing recycling of second life batteries through data. But how do they do this? Tonight, we have Circunomics CEO and co-founder Felix Wagner with us to share more about the incredible work they're doing. Welcome, Felix.
Thanks, Rachel. Perfect. Very glad to be here today. Let me share my screen. So I hope it works. You see my screen? Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much for having us today, and also Javier for the intro keynote. I think you brought up already quite a few points that are very important also for the work that we are doing. Yeah, as you can see, we are a startup dealing in the battery economy. And yeah, what we try to build since 2019 with a team of 13 people today is a battery take back and trading technology. Why do we think this is important? And now I'm linking back to the presentation of Javier. I mean, we saw that a green transition towards renewable energies is necessary, and also the decarbonization of transport is happening. But there is one, so to say, technology that also makes this happen, and this is the battery. Yeah, the battery is the technology that enables the decarbonization of transport, but also of our energy production. And but it's not just done by transforming this to electricity and putting batteries into electric vehicles. We also need to think about the battery and how we actually make use of the battery. And therefore, it is very important that we consider the asset to be like a circular asset. And why is that? So if we simply look at the costs for an electric vehicle, but also of the carbon life cycle emissions of an electric vehicle, the battery itself makes up 50% or up to 50% of the costs. And if we look at the carbon life cycle emissions, the battery is responsible of up to 70% of the carbon life cycle emissions. So since it is such a large portion, the battery is also the biggest lever to reduce it if we enhance or extend the lifetime of the battery. But the question is, how can we do this? And it's pretty simple to write it on a mission statement on your company mission to use batteries as long as possible and bring them potentially also in second life applications. But there are obviously also challenges coming with that. And we at Circunomics exactly tackle those challenges with our technology. So what is Circunomics offering? So we have two product parts. First one is circular analytics software that is helping in first life analytics and second life simulation. I will go into detail what we mean by this. And secondly, we have a marketplace developed to trade batteries. So how does this all come together? So first of all, we help everyone who brings batteries on the market, mainly the OEMs, so the automotive OEMs, because they simply bring the largest number of batteries on the market. We help them to understand how batteries actually degrade during its first life within the car. So as you might know, the battery capacity will decrease during the usage. And the question is always, how fast does it decrease? And at the end of the first life, what is actually the remaining capacity within those battery assets? And this is currently quite a black box for the OEMs. And so the only way for them to have a look inside this black box is actually disassemble those batteries from the car, bring them into testing facilities, do like a full-scale cycling test with the battery, which takes about 6 to 8 hours to determine the remaining capacity. You need to transport them, etc., etc. So as you can already see, it's quite a complex but also costly process today. The thing is, every car has not just a battery, but also a BMS, a battery management system sitting on top. And this battery management system is actually tracking all necessary data within the first life to actually have the option to analyze the remaining capacity of the battery based on data, so that we can get rid of the complex process I just described, bringing them to a test facility, test them physically, etc. So with our technology, we enable the OEMs to store the data that is coming from the BMS, store it in a safe cloud infrastructure. It doesn't even need to be stored in our cloud infrastructure. We can also help the OEMs to set up their own infrastructures to store the data, also due to GDPR reasons within their ecosystem. And we are then able to deploy our algorithms that actually predict the degradation of batteries within the infrastructure of the OEM. So that's the first part. But then is the next part that's really interesting is we can actually then simulate how batteries coming from electric vehicles would then behave in the different second life applications that are available. What are possible second life applications? So of course we can bring batteries into residential energy storage system, for example, to store your solar energy. But of course we can also bring batteries into large scale battery systems, storage systems that store like energy coming from wind parks. But we can also use it in grid balancing applications at utilities. And all these use cases I described have, of course, a different usage profile. And we can simulate how batteries from, as I said, from a first life would behave in these different usage profiles. And because we can simulate this, we can actually help the OEM or the battery owner to find the best possible match in the second life. And because we didn't want it to end it here, because we really wanted to establish an end-to-end approach, we also built the marketplace where we really bring the first life owner of the battery and the potential second life owners or buyers on our B2B marketplace together. So it's not like a marketplace like eBay or Amazon. It's really like a closed environment. We really onboard all the customers with a due diligence process, etc. So it's really a safe environment to trade these valuable assets. And since not all batteries coming from first life are suitable for second life applications, we also have like the recycling scheme also implemented into our platform. So if you as the battery owner know that there are some batteries that are not suitable anymore, you can actually put them together in a tender and tender this contingent on our platform to find the right recycling partners. So this really shows that we, I think from our perspective, build really like an end-to-end process that is enabling to really get the maximum out of those batteries that you have. And that's the process. So to summarize, two core products: the battery analytics with the first life analytics and the second life simulation. Secondly, the battery marketplace, where we really matchmake first life supply and second life demand on a standardized digital and legal process, because also the legal side is really important to build up like a standard for trading those assets. And what makes our solution actually unique? First of all, of course, the algorithms that predict the degradation of batteries. So we really have battery engineers, data scientists in our team that understand the degradation process of batteries. And secondly, the simulation of those, how they perform in second life. Again, we connected this to the marketplace to really establish an end-to-end solution. And what we also did is we are working at Catena X. That's like an association of the automotive network, but also tier ones and some energy companies are also members here to really build like a legacy system that is actually certified to be used directly at the OEM's infrastructure. Okay, this just to give you an idea, or not just an idea, I mean, it's a real product. So we are not a PowerPoint startup anymore. We have a real product, but these are some screenshots from our live platform. So this is how like a battery portfolio would look like. So you would see all the relevant information of the battery. What is the current SRH of the battery? You see here the battery analytics, the historical data coming from the BMS, and here the predicted degradation in the future due to our algorithm. You see all the documents that are necessary to evaluate whether this contingent could be of use for you in the second life. So data sheets, testing protocols, but also things like UN 38.3 documents to really transport them from A to B. So everything that is necessary for you to actually evaluate whether these batteries are suitable for your second life application can be seen here at one view. This is here the second life simulation. So you can really click through all the modules within the battery contingent, and you can click how would this module perform here in a home storage solution. And then you can see how many remaining cycles this module would have in a home storage solution. But you can also, as I said, click on grid balancing, and obviously grid balancing is slightly lower performance profile and second life. So you would probably get with the same module like 300 or 400 cycles in this use case. So it's really a simulation on how the asset behaves in a second life simulation. And then you can make like a price proposal to the seller and really get in contact with them and trade those assets on our platform. So how do we actually own money as Circunomics? As I said, these two product parts, we actually charge per battery per year that we are actually building a digital twin on and help to analyze it. It's about €6 per battery per year. And on the other side, we take a commission on the trades that we make through our platform. So for example, if you bring batteries with a value of 1 million to our platform, we get a 10% commission on this per trade, but of course also just if the trade really happens. So there is no risk involved for you. I mentioned it already, we are also part in a few associations that really work on setting up standards in this environment. I think it's really important that we build up standards because there's currently a huge lack in standardization for second life. And even though we are a startup, we are really pushing to bring standards to the front here. So we are part at DIN and VDA. Catena X, that's also what I already described. It's an automotive network mainly, where they actually build up standards for data exchanges, etc., on the whole value chain. But also on a European level, we've just been last week, 2 days in Brussels at the BIPA. It's a very important organization. If you have to deal within the battery economy, it's definitely an organization to be part in and just to work on the legislation as well. Very close to the European Union, obviously. What did we achieve so far? I mean, we are still a startup, of course, but we have already achieved a few things. So the whole project started in 2019, pretty early, just by applying for Google Circular Economy Accelerator. Well, starting from a smaller town in Germany, we didn't really expect to get invited, but a few days later, Google called us from San Francisco and invited us to come to San Francisco, and we were really selected to be one of the top 3 circular economy startups worldwide, which was a huge thing for us. Especially when you're at the beginning of your journey, it's really proves that we are working on a good thing here, a very important thing. Last year, we've been awarded also the KfW Gründen Award to be not just on a state level, but also on a not just on a regional level, but also on the state level, to become the first and best startup. And last year as well, we've been on the 3rd place for the Spark Award from McKinsey and Handelsblatt. So some really good recognition for us. This year we applied at the Bundeswirtschaftsministerium for a 1.8 million grant to really put some more research in our technology. Here it says we are still waiting for it, but actually we just on Friday got the notification that we can start the project from 1st of January. So really happy to also get to start this project now. Where are we commercialization wise? So as I said, we have a real product and we already have also real batteries on our platform. So we have currently about 50 megawatts of battery capacity on our platform, currently onboarding approximately 2 to 5 megawatts per week. And it's obviously a great achievement. About 8 weeks ago, we were also able to announce a partnership with Shell. Shell is helping us with sales on the automotive and energy sector side to really sell our solution into the large corporates, which is of course not so easy for a small startup like ourselves. So that's why we are really happy that we have a partner like Shell that is helping on this side. And of course, we need some money to finance this. So we have so far collected about 2.2 million euros from really experts from the industry. So the former CTO of Audi is partner and investor at Circunomics, but also the former CEO of Audi, who's now sitting on the board of Shell. He just recently joined. But we have also a recycling company that invested in us in very early days. So really strong partners already on board. And here's some pictures to the names that I just mentioned. And yeah, I haven't done this alone from day one. I have also Jan Born, of course, my co-founder and CTO. Very good background also in the automotive industry. So he has been working for the automotive industry on technical projects for the last 15 years. But obviously it's not just the two of us. As I mentioned, we are already 15 people working for us. So we were really able to attract talents from all over the world. We have set up like a remote culture first. So even though most of our people are working or living within Germany, they are working from home offices, but also from flexible workspaces that we have set up all across Germany. And that's really good for us to attract those and it helps us to attract those talents. Yeah, thank you. That's it so far from my side. If you have questions, I'm really happy to go into details.
Thank you so much, Felix. And yeah, first off, congrats on the new project. That's exciting news. And so cool to see how far you guys have come since 2019. That's a short amount of time. You've done so much already.
Yeah, thank you. It was already quite a journey. I mean, a lot of things happened with COVID, etc., chip crisis at the automotive industry, which also had an impact. So yeah, we are really happy what we have achieved so far, but there's also a lot more to do.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where you go in the future with that. And I guess I have a couple questions we can get started with here. And as audience, feel free to ask any questions you have in the Q&A. But to get us started, maybe you can, around the OEMs or the original equipment manufacturers, how do you convince the OEMs to work with you, or what's the biggest pull for them?
Yeah, I mean, certainly for the automotive industry, it's always hard to really get in and to really get the data that is necessary to drive our analytics. And we have started in 2019 with a pilot project with a German OEM, where we pretty quickly realized it's really hard to build like an API to their data lake and really get the data coming from their infrastructure to our systems. And that's why we changed our approach from a technical perspective. So as I mentioned in my presentation, we are actually able to deploy our algorithms into the infrastructure of the OEM so that the analysis with the raw data can really take place within their closed environment, and only the results of the analytics will be then published on our platform. And that was a huge game changer for convincing them to work together with us.
Yeah, that's not an easy market.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Speaking of the market, because how is it current situations right now? I guess following COVID, has it changed? Or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when we started in 2019, COVID wasn't really in our plans. So it definitely had like a not really positive impact on the projects. We were starting with the OEMs just at the early days in 2019. But luckily, this changed, especially during the last half of a year. I think not just because Corona is far better under control, but I think also that the awareness from the OEM side, actually, that they need to find a solution here and they need to do something. I mean, 3 years back, most of the German OEMs didn't really had like, a lot of EVs on the streets. This has changed during the last 3 years, and now they see sometimes already vehicles coming back to them and hitting up the dealerships. And so it's becoming really a problem now. So they are aware that they need to find a solution, a scalable solution, because as I mentioned, currently the process is very manual and therefore cost intensive. And this can't work out that way if we have millions of electric vehicles on the street in the future. Yeah. So yeah, I would say the market definitely changed in a good way also for us.
Good. Yeah, more of an incentive there. I guess, yeah, it's really amazing what the data you're using can do. I think it's one of those positive situations right now, and there's that big debate over AI and what's good, what's bad, right? But this is one of these really good paths that AI can go down and
definitely, yeah.
Problem. Yeah. And yeah, I guess very interested as well as what portion of the batteries after can be reused in these second life applications.
Yeah. So it is definitely, I mean, we are just getting into the market, but what we saw so far is that we can use at least minimum 50% of the batteries that come back from the electric vehicles, which is a huge number.
Yeah.
So currently the OEMs are mainly bringing them straight to recycling because it's simply the easier process for them. But with our technology, they are actually able to generate revenues by selling them into second life and really earning money by this instead of just bringing it to recycling. So it's really a business model for them. They can really earn money per battery. And I think this awareness is slowly starting to be generated at the OEM. So yeah.
That's awesome. It's great push. And I think we're going to see more from you guys in the future here, and really excited, by 2030 to see what happens.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Thanks.
But yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to share and teach us more about your circular solutions here. And yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Rachel.
And next up, we have a startup joining us from Vancouver, Canada. I think she just got back from a trip across the Pacific to Japan. Thank you for joining us, Simreen. And before I start, I want to give a little introduction. So like Circunomics, Moment Energy is targeting the growing market of electrical vehicle battery circularity. And their solution is clean, affordable, and reliable energy storage by repurposing retired electric vehicle batteries. So it's a win-win. So with us today, we have Simreen Ratan, co-founder and COO of Moment Energy, who will share more about their circular energy solution. Thank you again for joining us, Simreen. The stage is yours.
Now that everybody can see the slides in front of me, Moment Energy did start with a team of 4 tech entrepreneurs. So this is myself and my 3 co-founders. We started the company in late 2019, early 2020. And since then, our team has grown to almost 30 employees. And we've got a series of different awards here in North America, and we're hoping to expand our global presence. Now, with electric vehicle batteries being a huge part of the electric vehicle, there is a need for these batteries to be put through a circular economy. And the part that Moment Energy focuses on is battery repurposing. So these batteries, once they are removed from the vehicle, they have an average of 80% original capacity remaining, which is quite significant. This means that the batteries can be used for an additional 7 to even 10 years outside the vehicle in stationary energy storage applications, which we heard a little bit about from the previous pitch from CIRCULAZE. Another factor in terms of why these batteries should be repurposed is that currently recycling costs are extremely high to recycle lithium-ion batteries, especially those that are of LFP chemistry. So with these increasing recycling costs, we're expecting that in the next while these batteries are placed in second life applications, that recyclers will have that opportunity to really optimize the recycling technology and become more profitable. So this means that recycling costs are expected to come down over the next few years. And by putting these batteries in a second life, we give recyclers that extra time. Now, in terms of regulatory pressures, this is really important in terms of really accelerating the circular economy for the batteries, because in some places like Europe and Japan, the OEMs are mandated to put these batteries through a circular economy, and that has helped in terms of having a logistics chain for second life. And we're hoping that in North America that similar legislation comes in. And this is where Moment Energy is providing a solution for EV batteries. And we're doing this by creating clean, reliable, and affordable energy storage by repurposing retired electric vehicle batteries. These batteries can be used in a variety of applications, and the areas that Moment Energy focuses on is on-grid and off-grid commercial and industrial applications. So if you start over on the left-hand side of my screen, you'll notice that we are talking about remote applications, and this includes remote lodges or mining sites and aquaculture sites that are using diesel generators to power their buildings. So today, they are fully relying on fossil fuels for their electricity. And in order to transition away from these fossil fuels, they want to bring in renewable energy. Now with renewables, these are intermittent energy sources. They're only available at certain times of the day. So with energy storage, we're able to harness that renewable energy and store it in energy storage systems so that these remote building users can pull electricity from our energy storage systems whenever they need it. So therefore, they can end up having renewable power, access to renewable energy almost 24 hours a day. The right-hand side of my screen talks about a different application. This is for commercial and industrial on-grid buildings that do have utility power coming into their buildings, but are actually facing steep demand charges when it comes to using electricity from the utility providers. So you can really help these commercial industrial building owners reduce their electricity costs by having energy storage system in an application called peak shaving. So that's another area that we're focusing these repurposed energy storage systems for use. If we install our systems in off-grid applications, we're able to help our customers reduce their generator runtime by 37%. And this number can increase to almost 100% if they choose to install renewable energy as well. Now, in terms of our process of how we are doing the repurposing business is we first start off by working directly with automakers to receive second life batteries from them. And typically these batteries are already tested or dismantled to a module level, which is what we use internally at Moment Energy to repurpose the batteries into our systems. The batteries are then put through extensive testing. So we retest them to make sure that they match our customer specifications so that the batteries are at a minimum state of health, which makes them viable for a second life. We then assemble them into our enclosures and we harness them with a battery management system. We add an additional safety equipment, and then we configure the system with a battery management system. So this is really to ensure that the batteries are safely charged and discharged, and that we're able to remotely monitor their performance as well. So this is something our team takes very seriously because safety is our #1 priority. So we are constantly monitoring to make sure the batteries are performing well. And if there are any issues that arise, the system automatically disconnects from the customer site. Before we deploy the system at our customer site, we also put the system through additional testing to really ensure that the battery is having an output that matches the energy storage specifications and that it is compatible with third-party inverters or other power electronics that may be on our customer site. In order to achieve a circular economy for EV batteries, it's important to have automakers to be a part of this journey. And we are very proud to say that we're partnered with a variety of OEMs. So we have relationships with Nissan North America, Mercedes-Benz Energy, and 2 additional automotive partners that are currently in our R&D program. And this is one of the systems that, or 3 of the systems really, that we've developed using our partner EV batteries. So these batteries can be used in the off-grid and on-grid commercial and industrial applications. And this is the specifications for one of the systems we've produced, which is called the Flora Energy Storage System. So this unit is 48 kilowatt hours in capacity. And we're able to deploy this in larger applications by stacking them in parallel. So we can line up as many of these systems as we need in order to fit our customers' energy storage requirements. In terms of projects, we've deployed projects across North America. So this includes 4 off-grid projects and 1 on-grid project, which are all highlighted in blue. We also have about 19 megawatt hours of future projects in the pipeline beginning in 2023, and some of these are highlighted in pink on this map. Now, what makes us different in terms of other energy storage companies is that we're able to compete on price, performance, and sustainability. Our batteries are available at 2/3 the price of new lithium-ion batteries with a similar lifespan. And this is because we're using repurposed EV batteries. We also provide a market-leading discharge capability. So these batteries are actually very powerful because they were used in automotive applications in their first life. So they have that high charge and discharge capability, which really benefits customers that are trying to do applications like peak shaving or demand shaving, which require high power in a short time interval. We're also developing a battery management system that's optimized for second life batteries. And this becomes increasingly important as these batteries end up being used in long-term second life applications. And that's because first life battery management systems are typically designed for batteries that are 100% state of health, that are brand new, with very similar specifications. And in second life, as you can imagine, you get batteries from a variety of different automakers, from different vehicles that have very different characteristics when they arrive to the second life applications. So to really be able to manage that and to have an algorithm that optimizes the performance of second life batteries, the battery management system becomes important. And finally, in terms of sustainability, our customers really want more sustainable solutions when they're looking to move to renewables and energy storage. So with using a battery system that goes through a circular economy, we're helping our customers achieve ESG goals and are providing them a cleaner energy solution. In terms of some other impacts for our customers, we help them with reducing operating costs, peak demand, and greenhouse gas emissions, which are some of the things I talked about in the applications. And we're also able to enable renewable energy for both the off-grid and on-grid customers because they're really able to become energy independent with having renewables and energy storage paired together at their site. We've identified sustainable development goals that Moment Energy is also working towards. And these are 10 out of the 26 goals that we are focused on and really hoping to improve the impact of our company in these areas. To summarize Moment Energy, so Moment Energy was founded in late 2019 and we have a Vancouver, Canada headquarters. We raised over $3.5 million in seed funding to date, and we've actually grant matched that with the Canadian government grant funding. We've deployed 5 energy storage projects already, and we have additional projects in the pipeline. And we recently expanded to a team of 30 employees at a 15,000 square feet manufacturing facility where we're continuing to grow our operations so that we can really partner with as many automotive companies as possible to bring in these EV batteries and put them through a circular economy. So that's it for my presentation. I appreciate having the opportunity to be here today. And for those of you in the audience, if you are looking for a second life solution or for a partner to repurpose EV batteries, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Serene. That was very interesting to hear. And also, another 2019 startup with us today. And it's amazing to see how far you've come as well in just 3 short years.
Thank you.
And a little bit different approach from our last startup too. I think you're more into you're not recycling the batteries as much as repurposing them. So that would be maybe my first question for you. Do you see recyclers as competitors in this space, or is there a chance to work together? How does the market look there?
That's a really good question. So in terms of recyclers in the marketplace, we actually don't see them as competitors. We see them more as partners, because Moment Energy is focused on the repurposing sector, and it's important to have companies that focus on a variety of areas in the circular economy chain. So really we see that these batteries, when they're removed from the vehicle, and if they are seen that to have a significant remaining capacity, and we saw from Felix that some of they're seeing about 50% of their batteries are repurposable. So we expect those batteries to be used in second life applications. Mainly because they can be. So after that, we want to make sure that these batteries are recycled and they go through the full circular economy chain, which is why it's important for us to view these recycling companies as partners and to really work together to provide a full circular economy solution.
I think it's really important, and it goes with our whole motto here at CIRCULAZE. You can't do it alone. I think circular economy is something, we have to do together, and it's great to see that you guys are working together in that sense.
Thank you.
And we have a question from the audience here. She says, "Hi, Samreen, can you share some of your long-term vision?"
For sure. Thanks for your question. So in terms of our long-term vision, Moment Energy is currently, we have our facility here in Canada, and we're really looking to globalize and have a facility in every area or part of the world that needs it. So we're targeting different countries that have a focus on electrification, where there will be a large amount of EVs hitting the road with batteries that need to be put through a circular economy. And we really want to have a local approach where we are repurposing batteries locally in each country and then deploying them in second life applications in the same region. So that's our long-term goal, is to expand outside of North America and really be recognized globally and providing a solution for our customers globally.
To build on that, you mentioned, I think at the very beginning of your presentation, about legislation and how tricky is it to expand into different domains like our regions from that.
Yeah, that's a good question as well. So there are different requirements in different regions. So there's the automotive requirements, which when they are mandated to repurpose or recycle the batteries. But there's also the mandates or the certifications required to actually deploy second life systems in the field. So what we are doing is we're actually getting UL certification for second life energy storage systems in North America. So that's something that's required for on-grid applications here. And there's only one other company in the world that has that certification. So we're going to be the first in North America and the second in the world to have it. So once we have that, then it's really looking at similar certifications in other areas, where Europe will have its own with CE, and then other countries will have their own, which we would transfer over and recertify our batteries to use in those applications and countries as well.
Lots of potential then. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Maybe one more question for you is, how far along are you in terms of investment, and what kind of support could you still use at this point?
Yeah, so in terms of investment, we've raised a $3.5 million seed round last year, and we actually are currently raising a pre-Series A round. So if there are investors that are interested, we might have some room for you guys in the current round. But otherwise, we've applied for a large amount of government funding as well, which we're hoping to receive and then use towards growing our business.
Very exciting. Yeah. And I'm sure our network here is, reach out and feel free to contact Samreen or Xavier if you want to get in contact with her and help out with the investment process. And I think no more questions from our audience here, but thank you so much for sharing, and it was great to learn more about your circular solutions, and thanks for being here. I know it was quite the time change too. It's quite early there.
Yeah, no problem at all. Really appreciate having to be a part of this platform, and thank you for inviting me. Thanks, Rachel. Thank you.
It's great to have you. That concludes our trend tour this evening, and if anyone is interested in getting in touch again with the startups, please do not hesitate to reach out. And we're happy to help put you in contact and to be part of your circular business solutions. And from Xavier, we wish everyone a wonderful evening or day ahead and a happy holiday season. And be sure to join us again next year as we continue our Trend Tour series with tech on January 23rd, 2023. And thank you. Bye.